Hello everyone, welcome to the Trusted Bliss. My name is Ati Ture. I am the host of the channel. We are happy you came across our new video. For today, we will talk about the biggest current issue related to the twin flame community. The reason that is causing skepticism, irony, and even adversity against twin flames. Yet it is born out of the confusion of attackers themselves. For the ideas, words, and terms are mistaken with the experiences, and the real taste of life is attacked for the label. Hopefully, we will be lucky to make this video short, for our goal today is not to guide you, but mostly to warn, especially if you know that you are the twin flame yourself, diligently following your part, putting all your resources and time into the healing work. If you are still not happy with your results and sometimes find yourself in doubts and anxiety, and if you tend to look for confirmations online to approve your ego based doubts, this video is for you. Do not forget to like it, comment on it, and to subscribe to the channel. Thank you. So, the most important advice that we want to give you right now, when you find yourself in a moment of weakness, please surround yourself with self-love and care. And if only you can, please make yourself distant from the social media completely. We did tell that in some of our previous videos, but it seems that it's never enough to repeat that. If you are struggling or losing your hope, try to surrender God fully by trusting your soul. For your soul is the only one that is aware about all the details of your part, but not the ones who are calling themselves relationship coaches, psychics, and teachers. Be aware some are exploring that twin flame topic only to get a large number of views, popularity, and profit, especially in the cases when they are not on our community side but on the opposite one. If they are trying to diminish the value and significance of the twin flame awakening process, and even are convincing masses that it's not real at all. Do not make the video too critical and judgmental. I will not mention here publications and statements of individuals who are doing that knowingly, sometimes for their own malicious goals and purposes, or by serving to the dark forces that are not happy about the ongoing massive awakening on the earth. I do not want focus on the servants of darkness or those who can be a part of it. Do not give them more power than they do have already. I will simply ignore them. Yet I can close my eyes and skip others who have no hidden or malicious agenda but are genuinely confused. By spreading their own confusion mixed with ardent emotions, they make too much damage to the community. So let's talk about that shortly and clear out the false beliefs right now that we could breathe freely and continue our mission peacefully. It's easy to see for us why and how this confusion around the twin flame phenomenon happens. Most often, these loudly speaking individuals are not the twin flames themselves. Sometimes they even declaring they want to have nothing in common with spirituality. Some of them may be truly good speakers and even professionals or brilliant in certain fields, but that does not mean they can grasp the depths of the twin flame connection. Do not mention here individuals who are residing in the very low vibrational field, who never ever try to uplift it or change, and don't even believe that it's possible to do so. Some speak out blinded and agitated by their boiling emotions and don't even use their erudition to discern two different components of the twin flame team, the label or term that is quite narrow, flat, and may be ridiculed as artificial, and the real spiritual experience that is called awakening, unknown to yogis for millennia, that recently did start happening to the large parts of the society naturally unconsciously with no preparation, planning, or intent. Individuals who have no idea about the spiritual awakening and don't even believe that humans are spiritual beings often try to undervalue the twin flame movement at any cost. So they are mixing up reality and term. Yet those who are awakened already can easily see that awakening is still intensifying, expanding, and touching lately even those who don't know the twin flame term and definitely are not involved in the conscious, guided twin flame movement that we are observing on various social media platforms online. Let's be clear here, individuals who are describing themselves as the twin flame critics or skeptics very often come across the twin flame label exactly on the internet and study it only from the surface. They do look to that from the judgmental ego perspective and announcing their audience they don't believe in the existence of the twin flames, for they can't find in their own experience nothing to prove that. Their ignorance definitely doesn't serve to their spiritual progress and sadly makes a lot of damage to the community. They don't even understand they judge reality for the label. They close their eyes to the undeniable fact that the twin flame term is largely used to describe the high consciousness interpersonal connections that are happening along with the spiritual awakening. So it's wrong to say that the twin flame journey and these connections are not real, even if the term itself is based on a myth or literature. They also don't understand the fact that the label is just a complementary tool helping connect all the community members together and overcome some difficulties on the road. Yet thousands of us are absolutely aware that our authentic spiritual experience and so-called twin flame journey had been initiated long time before we came across the label or any kind of popular twin flame teaching online. We know that our experience is true and undeniable, and that our soul to soul connections are very tangible, yet too special. They simply don't fit into normal relationships norms nor templates. So we are happy to have the beautiful twin flame term to help us describing at least superficially what we are experiencing along our path. It's also useful by putting out the complex message about our experience to the crowds that others could recognize the phenomenon and easier overcome common difficulties on the road. We are just humans and we have got the limited number of communication tools. You should agree with us that language, along with thousands of old and new terms that we are creating every day, is the main communication tool, and we are aware that we are using plenty of artificial terms and notions that can't express properly what we want or intend to say. All the history of humanity and our interpersonal relationships are the undeniable proof of our miserable communication possibilities. By telling this, we don't say that other communication forms like guess, body language, pictography, or telepathy do not exist or that should be undervalued. On the contrary, we do use them often very successfully. What we say is when we want to share our spiritual experience with a larger audience, especially online, we basically have no other chance but to create or to use some terms or labels. And it's completely fine that the large part of the recently awakened people speaking English use the twin flame term, for it helps us to connect one with another few decades already. I guess it would be much more complicated if we were creating or using the new or individual term every time when we are describing our experience. It would be quite wrong for these experiences have common observable characteristics, tendencies, principles, difficulties, and even solutions. We must notice also here that the twin flame title doesn't have yet equivalents in all other languages, and existing terms may differ by their morphological structure from the English one, for the word flame in some languages doesn't possess its meaning of an object of love or passion. I know that French-speaking audience did accept a literal translation of the term, and they are successfully using the term flamme jumelle. Spanish audience uses llama gemella. In German, it would sound as Zwillingsflamme in a word-for-word translation, but I guess it's not too popular. Does it mean that there are no twin flames in Germany? No, it means that the term itself confronts the logic of the language a little bit, so it may need a longer period of time until it will become accepted, or another, more logical term for that language will win. That is, I guess, Zwillingszelle. This term describes the same phenomenon and possibly is even more accurate than the twin flame. So sometimes in my videos, I'm happy to use the English equivalent of it, that is, the twin soul or the awakening counterpart. It's quite common as well that twin flame couples who successfully reach the upper levels of their part, who achieve the full 3D union, often drop the labels and do not call anymore themselves publicly twin flames, for they do care mostly about the service and mission, but not about labels. I've seen many of these couples. If you are sensitive, you can recognize them easily by their higher energy. They are serving humanity in many fields already. Twin flames are artists, musicians, entrepreneurs, teachers, etc. Let's pay attention here to the fact that languages in generally are based on some kind of unconscious rules that are largely accepted by the certain group of people. Also, we rarely have discussions about terms used to describe simple, popular, or largely known objects. Let's mention here fruits like an apple or orange. Yet you should agree with us that some people may use the term and don't even know the taste of the fruit they never eaten. Myself, by example, I used to know the word persimmon from books since I was a teenager, but I didn't know the taste of it very long time, for they don't grow in the climate of my native country. I tasted them only a few years ago, and then I discovered that persimmons are labeled differently in some countries, by example kaki, but the different name does not change the taste of the fruit. The fact that even the individuals who are calling themselves the twin flames do recognize certain limitations arising out of the term is marking the undescribable nature and the depth of the experience. We clearly know that it's some kind of soul-to-soul connection that defies any logic of normal human interpersonal relationships and cannot be easily explained. Myself and many others believe and sense that these highly telepathic connections are initiated, guided, and protected by spirit or God. Some authors even think we could use a different term, like an army of God, 144,000 original souls mentioned in the Bible, starseeds, etc. So we are quite happy with the twin flame term, but it's normal that it's provoking suspicion and adversity in those who don't have this kind of experience. It's hard learning from a description the subject that you can reach only via your senses. In a similar way, like, let's say, you will know the taste of the persimmon if you will be looking at it or touching its peel, but won't take a bite. In addition to that, I must say, myself personally, I know zero of the spiritual experience that it would be easily describable and understood. This is the most important point that normally slips away of the twin flame skeptics and critics. I dare to say even more The fact that it's hard to put this experience into words proves that it's very real, but not the opposite. The ones who did go through this experience know what they mean when they use this term. Despite we also see easily that sometimes this label is misused by applying it to the different connections, including soulmate and karmic relationships surrounded by complicated obstacles. We don't blame nor judge those who are acting this way, for often they are guided by truly good intentions. They use their knowledge to help masses to achieve at least a little bit of progress, satisfaction, and peace in this highly unhealthy yet important human activity field. Yet, let's don't forget that the most important what happens to the real twin flames on this journey is the spiritual awakening, emotional and energy healing, reconnection with the soul and spirit, expansion, and breaking away the duality consciousness veil. That's a lot, and all that is very real, regardless some people do use the twin flame label or not. And we are all aware that this experience, for some reason, is often tied to another person we came across the time of our awakening initiation. So, the Twin Flame movement and our joint efforts are directed to help everyone who finds themselves in this situation, for we know how difficult it can be. The fact that we offer some useful techniques, procedures, and topics does not mean that we know everything about this journey already. We only recognize that we make the best we can. The truth, however, is that it is orchestrated by the Spirit itself, so only God, Spirit, and our soul knows all the turns it can take and the final goal of it. Yet, being conscious and spiritual beings, we try to lift up that veil that is splitting spiritual and material world and to see what's being hidden behind. We guess we are here to transform the way how humans see the love, as well as to help others to conquer the narrow ego mind and to transcend the duality we are experiencing up to now. Yogis and sages we are doing the same on the earth for ages, yet they rarely were blamed or called insane. The term yogi, by the way, had been known to me many decades ago, yet I was sure it's way too special and sacred. I knew that the yogi's life is restricted by the rules that are almost impossible to follow for an ordinary human. Yet, when my awakening did start, and especially at my second separation stage, I literally was pulled toward yoga teachings, and I was surprised to find out that some yoga principles I had been following unknowingly since the very young age. I want to emphasize here that the Twin Flame movement is based on the truly beautiful, transforming practices and ideas that are not new but we are unknown for the ordinary people. Now, for the reason that the movement is expanding exponentially, for often individuals are drawn to it even if they are looking for beautiful and stable romantic relationships, they can benefit from that a lot. They learn to take back the responsibility for their lives and start healing themselves. They become more compassionate, aligned with pure spiritual ideas and the primal divine picture of a human being that is the perfect creation of God. They learn so much more about universal laws, karma, and manifestations. Many of them start applying meditation, Reiki, or other healing practices very early in their lives. They are inspired to become so much more than they ever were. All this is very real, and that's easily overgrowing the twin flame label. Yet, the label still can serve as the first sign on that long and large spiritual road, inviting those who are ready for this journey, or at least are seeking to experience something meaningful on you next to their daily routine and duties. If they seek uplift themselves and others, and do not limit their interests by delicious meals, fashion, movies, or sports. Now, you may ask me if we are talking about the spiritual awakening mostly, why there is the other person here involved in that process who seems to be tightly connected with us. Is it possible that one soul would reside in two separate bodies, as the twin flames say? But I do want to leave this question open. At least I have no intentions to answer it in this video. I am only aware that this is definitely known to God or Spirit, for I did felt very clear guidance since the very beginning of my journey, and I recognize that the connection with my twin flame is the most precious of all interpersonal bonds I have been experiencing through my entire life. I know that it's quite unique. Regardless, I do not put my twin flame on a pedestal. I mean, I see they are not perfect. They are just like me. These connections yet are so complex and undescribable that even the word love seems to be too shallow to depict them, especially if we would use that word according its historical or most popular meaning. The twin flame connections are way too special comparing to other relationships. We clearly can feel that they are initiated in the spiritual realm. Regardless, we can argue a month and years about the precise techniques, how, as well as why it was done. Strangely enough, they reveal for some reason the hidden or forgotten aspects of our personality and old emotional wounds. They strengthen our intuition and our heart chakra. They help us to heal and to grow up. They force us to face and to release our past and old behavior patterns that don't serve us. They are painful and transformative, yet be aware they are never ever intentionally abusive. They help us to become who we meant to be, who possibly we always were in the eyes of God. Tell us, what can be more real than that? If you recently discovered that you are the twin flame, please do not fear. Do not be afraid for those who are not able to understand you. Not everyone is the twin flame or meant to be awakened right now. Maybe they still can wake up 10 years later and then they will see that they were wrong and judgmental. They may discover they were sitting in the low energy field or employed and used by dark forces and evil entities. This world is much more complex than we see it, yet the veil of the ignorance is slowly dissolving. Tell me if you are following science news. Have you heard physicists recently announced they discovered new microparticles and the new energy forces in nature that they didn't notice before, acknowledging that physics is built on the wrong foundation. No one is perfect, and I think it's not possible to learn the God's mind from a tiny human perspective. So let's put all the criticism and the stubbornness at the side. Let's learn how to be flexible and always leave a room for the new ideas that are ready to enrich us if we will stay open minded and simply aware of all that we are experiencing inside as well as outside of us. To end this conversation, I want to say that we shouldn't worry at the end if the twin flame phenomenon skeptics or critics won't change their opinion and come to other side, for the powerful tree still can continue growing up even if some pieces of its bark or cortex are removed, for it have got the roots deeply in the nurturing soil. One day, if that's necessary, we can drop the twin flame label, yet we can change our true nature, for we were created exactly this way by God. His will and plan is the stable and sturdy basement for us, like the roots to the tree we mentioned. So, I don't doubt that even without using the twin flame label, we still can continue our mission and work for the expansion and transformation of the human consciousness. Join us and come with us. Subscribe to the channel and share your thoughts on the topic in the comment section below. Finally, we wish you much love and success on your personal journey. You were listening to the Trusted Bliss and Dati Ture. Stay tuned. Our new video is coming soon.